What if I told you you could leverage AI to score the leads in your database to identify the leads with the most motivation and the highest probability of converting? Well, we had the same question as we ran into a problem with our team's ability to prioritize leads and figure out where they should be spending their time, which leads to follow up with first. And instead, what they were doing was essentially treating all leads the same and just focused on getting through the tasks on a day-to-day basis. And so I wanted to figure out how could we solve this problem and actually leverage AI models to help solve this and provide some direction to the team on where to focus their energy. So I wanted to share quickly how you could think about solving this problem for your business and actually walk through the workflow that I built out to actually address this issue. So with most CRMs, you should be able to integrate to an API, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. In our case, we use REsimpli, and we're able to leverage their webhook to actually ingest data and then actually process that through a particular workflow. So what you can see here is actually the lead data that's flowing through the webhook, and this is done on a per record basis. So anytime the lead is touched or updated, we actually have the ability to process that lead and ingest whatever data we want to in order to be able to feed it into the model and have it score it for us. In our case, we start off with running through notes, and you can see here that we can actually ingest all of the notes that occurred on a conversation with an individual record. The next step then is to try to ascertain from the notes that are left on an account, what level of motivation does that individual have, so we can assign a score to it and then begin to start force ranking them for the team. The next thing that we started doing was actually looking up the lead to see if it's actually scored. This helps us reduce our overall model processing costs. Here, what we're doing is we're actually iterating through all of the notes in the account, and then we feed them into a model that's purpose built to actually score this. So we're actually using an assistant in this case, and we just simply have provided some predefined prompting on sort of the rubric that we would be looking for in terms of what is high motivation, what is a high probability of converting, and we score it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest motivation possible, so that we can then start to force rank these leads. And then what you'll notice here is the model outputs some information about that. And specifically what we care about is this motivation score. And so you can see based on the notes for this account and potentially any other data that we fed into it, you can feed this into the model and have it produce a score for you. And then finally, we can actually update the lead record in the database itself and actually append that to the lead record itself. And we also append it to our database for reporting purposes. Once you start scoring all of the leads in your database, you can then start to extrapolate that and actually roll that up and get a lens into the entire database of leads, where the relative scores live, and put together a force ranked list of your top motivation by scoring leads. Here's a quick view of a look report that our team put together. And as you can see, we started looking at the penetration of scoring across the database. We can start to see a distribution of scores over time and what buckets they fall into. And then we actually have a detailed list of all of the leads and links to the lead record so that our team can then begin to work these in a prioritized manner and making sure they follow up with the top leads first before they get to things that have little to no likelihood of converting. So just an example of how you can start tapping into the data and actually operationalizing it into your team once you start implementing a process such as this. This type of application of AI becomes incredibly powerful in a team's ability to then really focus their energies on where to be spending their time. The only word of caution that I would highlight here is that you are dealing with PII, you are dealing with customer record information, and you are sending it to a third-party service. So as you think about building something out like this, you either need to have your own sort of private instance where these things are not potentially getting sucked up into a broader model and being processed and potentially rendered to other users. Alternatively, you can do things like scrub out PII and make sure that nothing about the individual lead record would be possibly sent to the third-party service. But that said, if you can put in the proper controls to do this safely, you can extract a tremendous amount of value in order to be able to bubble up the most important leads to your team and ensure that your team is spending time on the leads that are, at the end of the day, going to provide results and provide revenue to the bottom line. So hopefully this is a helpful use case of, again, how you can integrate AI into your business processes and leverage it to get more out of your team and the time that everyone is spending. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.